So, ayan, class, let's continue our discussion. Andito na tayo with job order costing. Yan, ayusin ko lang. Yeah, job order costing. Okay. Kailan mo ginagamit yung job order costing as a manner of, assigning cost to your cost objects? Normally, this is employed if the product manufactured is unique. Kumbaga, one lot of product is unique from another lot of product because there are customer specifications. Ganito kalaki, ganito ka-efficient, ganito yung expected na output. Basta, what you produce uniquely based on customer specification, lalong-lalo na if you know the product, the lot of product is highly valuable. It would be very useful that you employ job order costing because you get to trace cost particular to each product. By that, you also identify specific costs, and you as well apply specific markup for each set of outputs. So, yun, ganun. Normally, you assign a job order for each lot of work. Actually, for this type of costing, it's just the same as the flow of inventory that I got to tackle. Kaya nga lang, what makes it unique is that, sabi ko, for each lot of order, you get to separate the cost. So, kumbaga, identifiable siya. So, for us to better, understand ito, let's try to solve the questions. Ito, for discussion number 11, let me read to you. Ella Corporation, which is engaged in the manufacture of specialized machines for different production entities, employs job order costing. So each unit of manufactured item is based on customer specification and is designed for their plant's fit. So, kumbaga, no two objects or outputs are exactly the same. So, yun yung parang concept of employing job order costing. Now, in the second quarter of 2021, the following activities were tallied. Meron siyang tatlong job orders. 101.1, 0.2, and 0.3 with data as to direct labor, direct materials, direct labor hours, and also with the application of overhead. Yung overhead niya ay nakahati pa sa dalawa. First is yung variable portion, which is applied at 55% of direct labor. Tapos yung fixed overhead naman ay based on a predetermined rate of 120 pesos per direct labor hour. So what's the question for number 11? Ito. By the end of the quarter daw, only job order 101.2 remained in process. So yung tanong, how much is the total cost of completed products? Sige, balikan natin to. Madali lang. Yung hindi lang daw natapos ay si 101.2, meaning you have to tally all production costs for 101.1 and 101.3, and as easy as that, you get to determine your total cost of goods manufactured for the quarter. So how do you do that? Madali lang. Ito. For number 11, check muna natin si 101.1. Ito. Direct materials, copy mo lang 250,000. Tapos si direct labor, 330. Now with your overhead, you check the application. Una with the variable portion, that's 55% of direct labor hour, of direct labor cost. So 330, madali lang. Oops. Yan. You have 330,000 times 0.55, then there you get ito, 181,500. Tapos, dito naman sa baba on the fixed, you have 440 direct labor hours. You just apply 120 per direct labor hour. And there you get the fixed portion of 52,800. So, pagsamahin mo lang for job order number 1, 250,000 plus 330,000 plus ito, 181,500. There you get 814,300. Now, you also do the same with 11.3. So, copy mo lang si direct materials amounting to 172,000 based on the given. Tapos, i-copy mo lang din si direct labor, which is 161,000 based on the given. Then, another set, you apply the overhead, 161,000 times 55%, there you have 88,550 variable overhead. And for the fixed, there you have 230 direct labor hours. Multiply mo lang with the predetermined rate of 120. So that's 27,600. So add mo lang 88,550 plus 161,000 plus 172,000. There you get 449,150. So your total cost of completed jobs would be a combination of two. Add mo lang 814, 300, then there you get a total of 1,263,450 for the quarter. So, ang sagot natin for number 11 is simply letter B. Ayan. So, napakadali. Napakadali for item number 11. Okay, let's proceed with question number 12. It's just related with number 11. Yung tanong lang niya is that assuming daw that job order 101.3, isa doon sa mga natapos na jobs, has actual overhead costs incurred of 125,000. So what will be its impact to Ella Corporation's cost of goods sold? So with this kind of question pa lang, alam mo na that yung itatanong is a comparison of your overhead applied and your overhead control. Sabi ko nga kanina, whenever you deal with manufacturing costs, yung gamitin mo ay overhead applied. Whenever there's a difference between your applied overhead and control overhead, over or under application shall be closed to cost of goods sold. But if naka-indicate sa problem that the amount is material, then you have to prorate that to your work in process, to your finished goods and your cost of goods sold based on their ending balances. But with item number 12, silent naman siya, then you close everything to cost of goods sold. But let's get to check 101.3 na job order. Ito. Check natin yung overhead application niya. On variable part, actually pwede mo lang siyang kunin with number 11, but for discussion purposes, let me reiterate. Our direct labor is 161,000. Oops. Sorry, mali yung nalagay ko dito. It should have been 161,000 times 0.55. Then there you get 88,500. Tapos on the fixed part, you have 230 direct labor hours. Multiply mo lang yan with the 120 pesos predetermined rate. There you get 27,600. Sama mo yung isa, 88,550. There you get factory overhead applied of 116,150. Now, you just compare that to your actual overhead cost, which is 125,000. Meaning to say, what you applied is lower. Kumbaga, kulang pa yung cost that you're able to account earlier kasi nga mas maliit siya kumpara to your overhead control. Kasi mas maliit siya, therefore its impact would be an addition to your actual cost. But you would have that adjusted to your cost of goods sold for the period. Kaya yung difference niya na 8,850 shall be added to your cost of goods for the period. So it's accounted as an increase. So yung sagot natin for number 12 is simply letter D. 8,850 increase. Ayan. Madali lang din naman, actually. Kaya nga lang, you have to be firm as to your understanding para you get to employ shortcuts. Or kung minsan kasi, they play with algebra within the flow of inventory figures. Just like with number 13. Actually, number 13, this is a very classical question. And I intentionally picked this kasi nadaanan ko siya along with my um, um, materials, na-retain ko pa kasi yung mga questions I have when I was on second year, when I was taking cost accounting, and I get to recall this question. So I think it will be interesting that I include kasi nga napakadali lang naman ang flow of inventory cost, but with this pinaglaruan niya with algebra. So wag ka lang malito with the figure. So let me read to you discussion question number 13. Okay. Oppo company reported the following financial statistics for the month of September 2021. Una is factory overhead valued at 65,000. Tapos, we have here decrease in ending inventories, raw materials by 5,500, work in process by 1,150, and also here's an increase in your ending inventory for finished goods by 2,750. So, andito na. Factory overhead amounts to 50% of direct labor, and the combined direct labor and factory overhead is 50% of the total manufacturing cost. So yung tanong, how much is the cost of goods manufactured? Be careful lang minsan guys kasi may instances that napakarami ng binibigay na given pero you don't really get to use each of them. So yun pa din, it's good that you understand the concept para alam mo which of the figures you meet along the road will be relevant for your calculation. So here's how you do it. Step number 1. Remember that factory overhead is given. That's 65,000. So you start here. Second na given, sabi doon, your factory overhead is 50% of your direct labor. So here's your second step. You get to gross up your factory overhead to get your direct labor. Kasi nga 50% siya of your direct labor. Divide mo lang siya by 50%. So the whole is 130. 65,000 divide 0.5, 130. So ibig sabihin, 130 plus 65, that's all in all your conversion costs. Sabi din doon that the combined direct labor and factory overhead is 50% of your total manufacturing cost. So third step, yung i-gross up mo na naman is yung pinagsamang direct labor and factory overhead. So that's 130 plus 65,000. Divide mo lang siya ulit by 50% gross up. So that's 390. Actually, yung pagkuha mo ng direct material, it's already optional. But by simple logic, kasi nga 50% ng total manufacturing cost ay yung pinagsamang direct labor and FOH. Ibig sabihin, yung other 50% is direct material and it's equal to the sum of the two. So that's a total of 390,000 na total manufacturing cost for the company. So ito, total manufacturing cost pa yan. Yung tinatanong kasi is cost of goods manufactured. So with the movement in your ending balances, yung relevant lang doon ay si work in process, which is nag-decrease yung ending balance niya by 1,150. Kasi nag-increase yung ending balance niya, ibig sabihin, yung cost of goods manufactured is higher than your total manufacturing cost. So yung difference ay i-add mo lang na 1,150. And there you get your total cost of goods manufactured amounting 391,150. So that's letter B. So napakadali. Actually guys, napakadali lang. I still recall second year ako, I happened to be a tutor in our department, and I was once assigned to, prepare the quiz B questions for first year, and their topic was about manufacturing, yung accounting part 2. Tapos sa end na nga part, which is about manufacturing cost na. So I still remember I used this question because, you know, I'd like to test their efficiency and accuracy in calculation. Ayun. So yun ang yung story dun. Okay, for number 13, yung sagot ay letter B. 391,150. Yan. Oops. Okay, let's proceed. Number 14. Ito. Mighty Vince Corporation incurred the following costs for the period. Una, net cost of purchases, tapos direct labor, overhead, and available din yung beginning and ending balances for your finished goods inventory, work in process inventory, and raw materials inventory. Tandaan nyo lang yung mga figures for us to, solve. Yung tanong lang for number 14 is magkano daw yung cost of goods sold. So, madali lang. You just plot this sa ating T accounts. Ito, you start with raw materials inventory. Check back on the given. May beginning balance na 38, may ending balance na 39,150. Meron siyang net cost of purchases na 180,000. So ayun, pagsama mo lang yung beginning balance at yung cost of purchases, i-deduct mo yung ending balance, there you get your materials issued at 178,500. Sige, para sure tayo na hindi nagkamali with the calculation. Di-check lang natin yung arithmetic. You have 38,000 plus 180, that's 218, minus 39.5. So that's 178,500. Forward mo lang siya dito sa work in process inventory. So work in process inventory naman, meron siyang beginning balance na 71,700. Meron din siyang ending balance na 52,600. So pasok mo yung manufacturing cost. Una si direct materials as we computed. I-add mo lang si direct labor, that's given sa prior page natin, 155,000. Then ipasok mo si factory overhead amounting to 122,500. So pagsama mo siya, 71.7 plus 178.5 plus 155 plus 122.5. Deduct mo lang yung ending balance. There you get your cost of goods completed. That's 475,100. So ito na naman yung i-forward mo to our next type of inventory, which is the finished goods. Sa finished goods, meron na naman siyang beginning balance na 25,000 and meron din siyang ending balance na 32. So yan, pagsama mo lang, 475.1 plus 25,000. So you have 500,100 na total cost of goods available for sale. Deduct mo lang si ending inventory na 32,000. Then there you get your cost of goods sold na 468,100. And that is letter B. Napakadali lang. You just have to familiarize the flow And meron pala akong hindi nasali yung term na total cost of goods available for sale. So that's the combination of your beginning finished goods inventory plus yung total cost of goods completed for the period. So ito yung available for sale mo for the period. Ayan, so napakadali. It's 468,100. So at least you know the long method, and you also can play on increase and decrease in balances. So pwede mo mapaglaruan yung um, increase and decrease in RM inventory, work in process inventory, and finished goods inventory para hindi ka na mag-plot ng ganitong kahaba. Pero of course, make sure lang din na um, di ka malito, hindi mabaliktad yung operation mo kasi of course that would result into another answer. So hindi ka naman i-judge how you compute when you take the board exam. So probably if mabilis ka naman and marami ka pang time, then you better use the long method para sure. Pero if you have your understanding established naman, di ka naman siguro matatakot to use shortcuts, then you may employ shortcuts. Depende rin yun sa confidence level mo. Just make sure na hindi magkabaliktad yung what you add and what you subtract. Actually, guys, I remember kasi, um, kung minsan, may misconception about accountants na, magaling ka sa math kasi accountant ka. Tapos, I got to remember, the kind of math we deal with is not necessarily the same as that of engineers. Kasi it's more of algebra sa kanila, calculus, meron pang mga analytical geometry. Yeah. But with us, we just use the basic operations. Minsan na natin gumagamit yung mga long calculations, when we deal with time value of money or kung minsan with management advisory services na we get to deal with the calculation of IRR, yung mga ganun. But on a transactional basis, we just use simple arithmetic. But the problem actually is what we add or what we subtract, and hindi yun pwedeng magkabaliktad because malaki na yung magiging impact niya. And of course, we talk about finances, so hindi yun pwedeng magkamali kasi pera yung pinag-uusapan. Cost yung pinag-uusapan, yung kikitain ng operations. So, you have to be careful as accountants. Ganun. Anyhow, parami naman ako ng naparami na naman ng kwento si sir ninyo. Ito, number 15, ito. Let me read to you. Eragon uses job order costing. Now, factory overhead is applied to production at a predetermined rate of 100% of direct labor cost. Any over or under applied overhead is close to the cost of goods sold account at the end of each month. Now, we have here additional information. Una, we have job 001. It was the only job in process at the beginning of the month with the following accumulated cost in work in process inventory beginning. Direct materials 14,500, direct labor 6,000, and factory overhead applied na 9,000. Then for the month, it started jobs 002, 003, and 004. And the following costs were added. Una is direct materials, 52,000. Then direct labor, 45,000. Yung actual down na factory overhead for the month amounted to 62,000. And by the end of the month, the remaining job in process was job 004 with cost specific of 5,500 for direct materials and 3,800 for direct labor. Now, ang tanong for number 15, the cost of goods manufactured during the month is equal to, yan, cost of goods manufactured. So you may already start with work in process inventory. Tingnan mo lang how much is the cost of the goods na i-transfer mo to finished goods by the end of the month. Now, remember we are talking about 4 jobs. 001, 2, 3, and 4. 001 was there at the beginning of the month, and by the end, yung 004 na lang yung naiwan. So major consideration, wag mo lang kalimutan na merong beginning balance yung job 001 that you have to account. And of course, wag mo rin kalimutan that there's allocable cost for 004 that you have to retain as part of your work in process inventory end. And another thing to remember, for costing purposes, for your cost of goods manufactured, gamitin mo muna yung factory overhead applied. Yan, for number 15, here's how you solve. Unang-una, remember that you have your beginning inventory for job 001. You just add 14,500, 6,000, and 9,000 for your manufacturing cost beginning. So that's a total of 29,500. Yes. Tapos, ipasok mo lang yung additional costs for the month. Direct materials, 52,000. Tapos, direct labor, 45,000. Now, you compute for factory overhead applied. That's 150% of your direct labor. So, you got 45,000 times 1.5. So, that's 67,500. So, your total cost placed in process, add mo lang lahat, 52 plus 29,500. So that's 194. Tapos, at this point, you just deduct costs particular to job order 004. From the given, remember that specific cost for direct materials amounts to 5,500. Deduct mo siya. Direct labor is 3,800. Tapos, compute for FOH applied, that's 3,800 times 1.5, 150%. So that's 5,700. So, i-deduct mo lang yan lahat to your total cost placed in process. Oops. Yes, 194. So there you get 179,000 pesos as your cost of goods manufactured. So yung sagot natin for number 15 is simply letter A, 179. Continue natin with number 16 kasi it's a related question. Ito. Consistent daw with number 15, over or under applied FOH close to cost of goods sold during the month amounted to. So, yung over or under applied FOH for the period, kino-close din yan with the cost of goods sold for the period, irrespective if yung affected sa variance na iyon ay naibenta na o hindi. So, you always adjust that. So, when you get back to number 15, here's your comparison. Yung FOH applied mo ay 67,500. That's from direct labor na 45, you apply 150%. That's 67,500. Yeah. 1.5. Yes. Then you compare that to your actual factory overhead na 62,000. So, meaning to say, what you applied is higher than the actual. So, napasobra ka ng costing. So, that's gonna be adjusted to your cost of goods sold as a deduction. So, over-applied. Ang sagot natin for number 16 ay letter C. That's 5,500 over-applied. So, that's treated as a deduction to your cost of goods sold for the month. I hope naman class clear yung discussion. Feeling ko medyo mabilis ako pero I think naman saktong pacing lang din. Anyway, if meron kayong queries, pwede naman kayong mag-message sa akin. I just hope na hindi ako busy pag nag-message kayo. Anyway, so let's continue, no? We have number 17. Medyo madali lang ata to. Okay. Let me read to you the problem. During the month of June, during the month, June Corporation incurred the following costs for job order 2090 for the manufacture of 200 handsets. Handsets, it means phones. Yeah. So ayun, it has accumulated costs of direct materials, 660,000, direct labor, 800,000, then factory overhead, which is applied 150% of direct labor, that's 1.2 million. Then here are direct cost of reworking 10 units. So it incurred, nakalagay dito lang, direct materials and direct labor, 100 and 160. But wag kayong magpa-confuse kasi nga automatic, meron tayong application ng overhead by 150%. Okay. The rework costs were charged to this specific job as it was driven by the need to meet unique product specs. With this given, it means to say that itong mga cost of rework would be charged to JO, specific to JO 2090 kasi nga these were incurred to meet customer specification. Hindi naman yun like a common failure with the manufacturing process that has affected all product lines. Ito specific for the job kasi nga maarte yung specification ni customer. Sige. For number 17, ito yung question. How much is the cost per unit of finished product? Madali lang yan, guys. Lista mo lang lahat ng cost. Yan, 660, 800, 1.2. So that's, 2,660,000. Then add mo lang din yung cost of rework. 100, 160, tapos dito, please don't forget factory overhead. Kasi nga kung minsan nakakaligtaan. Given naman sa problem that there's application of 150% based on direct labor cost. So with that, ito, 660 plus yung 500,000 na cost of rework. So yung total cost to manufacture job order 2090 is equal to 3,160,000. So divide mo lang siya with 200 units of handsets. So yung cost per unit mo ay letter A. That's 15,800 pesos. Yan, tapos na yung phone mo. Okay. Proceed tayo agad with number 18 kasi related siya. Ito. Using the same information in number 17, except that the cost of rework is due to general internal process failure. So it's a cost that you cannot specifically assign to job order 2090. So how much is the cost per finished unit? So you cannot assign that kasi nga hindi siya specific to job order 2090. So magiging cost siya directly ni company without being, without being assigned into specific job kasi nga hindi mo naman siya na-incur for meeting the specs on the job, but it was incurred because there was a general internal process failure. So you cannot assign that. So as a result, ito, yung i-consider mo lang na product cost ay 2,660,000 and you divide that with 200 units. So that's 2,660 divided by 200. There you get the cost per unit of 13,300 pesos. So that's letter D for number 18. Ayan, job order costing is napakadali. Actually, kung sa joke pa, pwede mo masolve yan kahit nakapikit ka. Anyway, but as I always remember, kahit madali lang yung calculation or yung theory related to it, please don't be too lax. Kasi kung minsan, doon pa tayo nagkakamali sa madaling question. So we have to control that because we aim to pass or we aim to top-notch the board exam. Ayan. So, cut muna ako ulit with discussion question number 18 and let's be back with part 3 with start of discussion ng process costing. Ayan, thank you.